Oh, I was on a train yesterday, in first class. Not that I'm posh, I just happened to know the onboard crew. And one of the first class stewards said, "Would you like a cup of tea?" And I said, "Yes, what do you have?" Because usually there's like different blends and stuff. And he said, "Oh, we've got Earl Grey." And no word of a lie, instantly I said, "Tea, Earl Grey, hot." And it wasn't until I was halfway drinking it, I was like, did I really just say that?
Good morning, evening, and or afternoon, ladies, gentlemen, and assorted whatever else might be listening. This is The Final Frontier, Treksphere podcast all about Star Trek fan films, fan creations, and fan fun. I am Bill Allen, a.k.a. the guy in the red shirt, and joining me today is our host and fearless leader and the guy who gets up way too early on the weekends, Adam Mullen.
Good morning.
And our special guest this afternoon to talk to us about his creations, Robert Sharpe.
I greet you in the traditional manner of my people. Good afternoon, sir.
Well, thank you, Robert, for joining us. Thanks, Bill, for for being here as always. So far, you've survived, even though you keep wearing your red shirt. I don't know how.
That's why we don't do a video podcast.
Yeah, there we go. Well, do you have pants on?
I have pants.
Okay. See, Robert, last time we did this, he didn't have pants on. He had to go put them on.
Oh, I didn't realize he was Tuvok.
Yes, it appears I have forgotten my uniform.
So,
fascinating.
What kind of news we got?
Well, I've got a couple of items. One, Robert mentioned in the pre-show. Scientists have found the planet Vulcan. And by found the planet Vulcan, what I mean is if you go through the various technical details that have been printed in some of the extra sources regarding how close Vulcan is to Earth and possible stars it would be located around, one of the stars that was mentioned, I believe it was 40 Eridani or 40 Eridani, something or other.
Yeah.
Yeah, it turns out they've actually tagged an extrasolar planet that's it's a solid planet, not a gas giant area, circling that particular star. And it's kind of a big deal because it adds to the catalog of the extrasolar planets we've actually spotted with a satellite, and it's actually in the right place for where Vulcan was supposed to have been.
I kind of doubt there's any Vulcans.
Of course there is.
That's what they want you to believe, man.
Of course there is. I met this guy, pointed ears, had a bit of an American accent, said he crash landed in his ship about 1950s. Very nice fella.
There used to be a theory that said that Gene Roddenberry was either an Edgar Cayce-type psychic who was seeing the future or he was a time traveler.
No, he just got the records off the Vulcan starship.
Something like that. Yeah, he was Ed Begley Jr. who found a crashed spaceship from the future.
Yeah,
but that used to be a theory with all the technology he incorporated in the Star Trek that would be invented decades later. That was a weird, fringe, tinfoil hat fan theory. But every now and then a new story like this comes along, and you got to wonder, how did he know that planet was there?
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, he got in his starship, went around the sun at warp 9, and just did the time travel.
Yep.
It's what I do.
That's where they got that for Star Trek 4?
Yeah.
In other news, the second tidbit I have, if you haven't seen it yet, a few years back, a guy made a documentary called Backyard Blockbusters. Documentary all about fan films and fan creations. And it covers more than just Star Trek, but it's got a lot of Star Trek in it. And this week, in the last couple of days. It's popped on Amazon Prime. So if you have an Amazon Prime subscription, check it out.
What's it about?
Backyard Blockbusters.
You said
fan films. Yeah.
And it's not just Star Trek?
Not just Star Trek. I mean, they talk. They got some of the comic book fan films in there. A lot of Star Wars fan films. There's a lot of Star Wars and Star Trek because those seem to be the ones people hit the most for fan films. But he's got a lot of other interesting esoteric stuff. A couple of Batman films, that kind of thing. Indiana Jones. Just about anybody who's ever done any kind of fan film for any big blockbuster movie.
Have to check it out.
Well, that rules out Star Wars.
Yeah, they made this one little obscure 70s grindhouse film, and that was that, you know.
Yeah. You know.
So then, the big news in Star Trek world is the trailer just came out for the Star Trek shorts, the short Trek episodes, and I'm excited. Are you guys excited?
I'm excited beyond measure.
But my understanding is that they won't be airing in the UK on Netflix.
That didn't stop me watching them.
Well, we won't let anyone know that you've been illegally downloading it.
Oh, I didn't. I simply had a friend of mine point his Skype webcam at the TV screen.
Oh, actually, you know what? I never would have thought to do that. Huh.
Welcome to Pirate TV, mateys. Yar!
Yar!
But yeah, no,
I'm Captain Adam. Yar!
I have a feeling that even if this whole deal with Netflix and they don't start doing the whole live broadcast thing this season on Netflix like they did last year, Netflix is still going to grab Discovery Season 2, and I have a feeling they'll put the shorts at the beginning of that as like a special episode or something.
Yeah.
So eventually I'm sure it'll be out there for everybody to see. If not, well, the Season 2 DVD will have the shorts on it, so there you go.
I'm looking forward to the Tilly one.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to say for everyone, hashtag I'm silly for Tilly.
So what's that hashtag all about besides being silly for Tilly?
Basically, you just love Tilly. So
she's a pretty good character. I do enjoy Tilly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see them do a spin-off of her in like 15 years after the show's over. Because, I mean, I'm sure it's going to get 4 or 5 seasons. I think they're aiming for 10 because they set it 10 years before the original series, so they could run this right up to that.
Yeah.
And the series finale could be sending off the Enterprise to where no man has gone before.
Yeah, I had a similar thought. That would be really cool.
But after the show goes away, I could see them bringing it back in 10 or 15 years for a miniseries or a made-for-TV movie and have Captain Tilly in the Maroon Monster doing that era of Star Trek for a little bit. Cool.
I actually had my own idea about how they could dovetail the Discovery and the original series.
Let's hear it.
Basically, we know that Kirk took over from Pike.
Mm-hmm.
So, why not just have like a little giveaway line where Burnham hears or gets a message saying that Pike's left the Enterprise and giving it over to the youngest, captain in Starfleet, and just give it a giveaway line in a letter or something, and that would neatly join it together.
Yeah. You should write some fanfic about it.
That's what I do.
Ooh.
And that's how we segue into our main topic of the evening.
Woohoo!
So Robert, you write fanfics about Star Trek, right?
Amongst others, yeah.
I just want to make sure that we've got the right person here, because that would be awkward.
Yeah, so, I make fan fiction, and I do it with a license.
Oh, how do you do that?
Oh no, I just wanted to get an Axonar joke in.
What was that?
I wanted to get an axe and I jerk.
Boy.
Oh my. So, how did you first get into Star Trek?
Probably when I was a kid. Just watching it Sunday evenings before dinner.
Mm-hmm. What series would you watch the most?
Well, at the time, or at the time it would have been the original series because I don't think I was old enough to remember TNG. But then as I got older, I switched to TNG and I was like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So of all the series, I mean, currently right now, what's your favorite?
Overall, I would have to say The Next Generation.
Good choice. Good man. I would agree with you. What's your favorite season of TNG?
Oh, I'd have to say season 4 or 5.
Which episode?
Season 4, episode 1.
And which scene in that episode?
Yeah, which scene?
I'd have to say maybe I think it's called on the soundtrack, The Graveyard of Ships.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah, where they simply fly through Wolf 359, and I'm like, wow, all these ships are destroyed. I'm like, oh, hang on, isn't that the model of the Enterprise flying by the window?
What's your favorite line of dialogue?
Oh, crikey. Sleep.
What's your favorite frame? If you had to pick one frame.
The frame... Oh, the window frame in the Ready Room.
Okay.
Thank you for humoring me. What's your favorite film?
Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country.
Ooh, why not Star Trek 2?
Because 6 has got everything. It's got political intrigue. Mm-hmm. It's got, an assassination. You've got peace conference. And you've got it's essentially an outdated battleship, or cruiser, as some people would call it, going up against a ship they can't actually find.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, Spock, the logical one, is like, he gets the order to go back to space dock, and he's like, yeah, I'm not going to do that.
I definitely... 6 is not, like, my number one, but it's, like, really, really close. I would say probably Wrath of Khan, First Contact, probably The Undiscovered Country is probably number 3. It's really good. There's so much, like, potential, like, what happened after from all this political fallout. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day about this, and he's thinking about writing his own fanfic on the political fallout of Star Trek 6, and I think that would be a really, really interesting.
Yeah, one of the reasons I like 6 is you get Scotty, and to this day I don't know if he kicks down the door or he just charges it with his stomach. Because it's like he strikes a pose when he fires the phaser, like he's the Kool-Aid man.
Oh yeah,
I'm Scotty. Oh, yeah.
And then you have Sulu. Oh, my. So your favorite series is TNG. Your favorite episode is part 2 of the Best of Both Worlds. Your favorite scene was the ship graveyard. And then your favorite frame was the window paneling on the Ready Room, right?
Yeah.
And then your favorite film is Star Trek 6. You really like it when Scotty goes, "Oh yeah," going through the wall.
There's no way I've stood that bit for all time, it seems. And there's no way when you look at his legs that he's kicked it down. He's just He's just charged with his stomach.
So have you been watching? Well, obviously you've been watching Discovery. Sorry, I'm just like going down my questions. Have you been watching Discovery? Let me think about this. We were just talking about it. So what do you think about Discovery? Like, is it growing on you? Is it something you were like at first, or were you
at first? I will admit. What's the phrase here? Oh yeah, full disclosure. I was not a fan of Michael Burnham at first, and the reason for that was I didn't think it was right for the character to have a male name. Then I figured, well, hang on, who cares? Mm-hmm. And the character just sort of grew on me. But I mean, she's a good character, but I love Tilly, and I love I'm trying to think, the redhead. What's she called?
Detmer. Detmer? Yeah.
Yeah. Because I have a theory that Detmer has a crush on Saru.
Are you going to write a fanfic about that?
I have one in the planning stages.
All right.
It's just that scene. It's just that scene where they collect all the medals,
mm-hmm.
and when she says, "Commander Saru, the first Kelpian to get the Medal of Honor," and Detmer looks up, and that smile is more, "I am so proud of you."
So you think it's beyond friendship?
And beyond family.
Aww. So, what's your favorite episode of Discovery?
Probably the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you squeal like me when you saw the Enterprise?
I was like, "Oh, the Enterprise. Okay, it's going to do something like a smash cut to the credits," and I was like, "Hang on, what's that?"
Mm-hmm.
Oh my!
I had a feeling they would do that, but it was really, really cool to see it.
And that wasn't the best bit. It was the credits where they brought back the original music,
yeah.
and I'm like,
yeah,
okay, now that's cool.
Yeah. So let's get into the main thing here. What you're here for? What made you want to write fan fiction?
Mainly because I wanted. I just wanted to make my own stories. Certain plots didn't make sense. I was thinking, well, hang on, I'll just write my own ending for stuff.
Keep going.
Yeah, I didn't write for the original series, or I did one for the original series.
Mm-hmm.
I did one for a couple for TNG, but mostly I write for my favourite hybrid, Naomi Wildman.
She's your favorite character?
In Voyager, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So I was going through your different stories. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think. 6 that are centered around Naomi, right?
Yeah, and then one is just sort of... Yeah, 6. I think about 5 or 6 Naomi Wildmans, and then one where it's sort of a remake of my own series.
And you follow them at first when they're children, right? And that's in the story called Children in Charge.
Yeah. Basically, that happened because I was sat at home, bored out my skull, and that episode of TNG Rascals came on, and I was like, okay, what if the Borg children in Voyager and Naomi were the only ones left?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, do they fly back, or do they stop and look for the crew? I was like, nah, Naomi's looking for the crew.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought it was just a one-off, but people liked it so much that they asked me to do a sequel. So I did.
Yeah, what was that? Wasn't that that was Janeway's advice to Naomi in that one episode, right? Always leave your shirt tucked in and never leave a man behind.
And go down with the ship.
Go down with the ship.
Which is a problem because Naomi got transferred to the starbase.
So it's Children in Charge 1 and 2, and then you have I guess I'll call it a threequel, and that's when they're all grown up, right?
Yeah.
And how many years have elapsed?
I think I did it where they were teenagers now.
Okay. And then you... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, the only difficult thing for writing Naomi was you look at her and she's about 8 or 9, but she's only 4.
Yeah. There's the age discrepancy, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know there was they hand-waved it away by saying, well, it's a hybrid, all the genes are mixed up.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, she's grown up on a starship, so she's going to be very smart, but try to do some, like, childish stuff.
Because that's reflecting her actual age?
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's interesting.
There was like a scene I remember writing where I was like, what would she do on a starship that's going in a straight line for a birthday? So I wrote the line where they cleared Deck 9 of all equipment and they drove round and round in go-karts.
Yeah, I could totally see that being something that Tom Paris would be behind that initiative.
So, you first wrote these in 2008?
Yep. Oh, crikey, that's 10 years ago. I've only just realised.
It's been 10 years. Let's see here. So I'm clicking on Children in Charge here. It looks like... Well, this says updated December 31st, 2009. Oh, it published... What does that say? Published February 15th, 2008. Okay. Wow. Yeah, it has been 10 years.
Yeah.
Let's see here. And then your last one you gave me was Beware the Quiet Ones.
Oh, that's TNG one.
Yeah, and that's about Jay, right?
Lieutenant J, which I believe is probably the only fan fiction technically sanctioned by the character's actress.
Can you tell us about that? How did that happen?
Basically, I'd always been puzzled by why everyone had, curly hair on the Enterprise D, and there was this sort of tough-looking U.S. Marine sort of lookalike on the bridge. I was like, I want to know more about her, and by accident, I found her on Twitter. And I thought, hang on, if I look over all her episodes, I could plausibly come up with a story. Mm-hmm. So I haven't updated it in ages, I must admit. But I came up with this basic first chapter where the Enterprise D was the first assignment. She suffered a terrible sort of loss, stroke battle on her cadet cruise. And because she saved the ship, I managed to do a counterattack. Basically, Picard was like, when you graduate, give me a call. I want you on my boat. And I sent the first chapter to her, and she liked it. And she's read the other ones so far.
Wow, that's pretty cool to have your character's actress actually read it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then, so it looks like that you published September 17th, 2016. So now it's just over 2 years old. Let me look at my questions here. I hate going out of order. But I was going to ask you, do you have any future fanfics in the works? Since it's been 2 years since you last published one?
I do other stories, not specifically Star Trek.
Okay. Can you tell us about some of those?
Yeah, my first ever fan fiction was a Harry Potter one.
Oh, okay.
As always, which was thought of as sort of 4 chapters, and it ended up being 100.
Oh, wow. How long did that take to write?
In total, just over a year.
Wow, that's actually pretty quick.
So now, I think it's on the anniversary. I hold the a jerk awards ceremony, whatever fan fiction I uploaded that day, and I always award it to the first person who reviewed it. Yeah.
How long did it take to write Children in Charge?
The first film.
Yeah.
First film, I say. The first fic took about a week.
Okay.
Because what I did was I thought, well, hang on, I'm not going to do what I do with my other stories, like the Harry Potter ones and things like that. I'll write a basic outline for each chapter and then sort of fill in the blanks.
So a week for, let's see here, a week for 4 chapters, right? Looks like.
I wrote the outlines in a week,
okay.
and then over the course of a much longer period, I filled in the rest.
Okay, so I was going to say a week for 4 chapters is pretty good. Which one is your longest fanfic?
In total, I'd say that that would probably have to be the Harry Potter one.
Oh, okay. Sorry. How about for the Star Trek?
Oh, that would have to be, and I'm looking it up myself. It would probably have to be one of the Naomi Wildman ones.
Of course, since they end up being continuations of each other, it's hard to really say where one ends and the next begins. It's all one big, epic, sweeping tale of Gilgamesh.
It's basically one big Star Trek.
Yeah. Do you think you'll continue her story?
No, because in the last one I killed her.
Dude!
I didn't get there.
Spoilers! Come on!
But she does have she does do what Janeway says. So she
tucks her shirt in the last scene? Okay.
Go down with the ship.
Yeah, she evacuates, basically, spoiler alert, she evacuates the crew, so she doesn't leave anyone behind. One of the last things she does is make sure she tucks her shirt in and pilots the starship she's on, because this is set in the future. She pilots it straight into a first Federation vessel and blows them both sky high. So she never leaves a man behind, keeps the shirt tucked in, and goes down with the ship.
Wow. Now I don't. Wow.
See, now it's like I know how it ends, but I still. Yeah, I've only read through the first couple so far, honestly, and I got to say, I enjoyed Children in Charge because you made the Borg children a lot less annoying than they actually were on the series.
I liked them.
I just.
They wanted to get rid of the 2 twins in real life, apparently, because they couldn't write for them.
Yeah.
And then they were like, well, if we get rid of them 2, we might as well get rid of Mazzotti. And I'm like, really? When I found out, I was like, seriously, that was your decision?
Well,
they got too old.
I can understand that they've always had trouble writing for children.
Didn't stop them with Naomi Wildman.
Well, they skipped her ahead a few years so they could just kind of make her whatever age they needed for the story they were writing. I mean, if you notice, they did the same thing with Alexander.
Yeah.
It's like he went from, baby to adult in, 8 years? 7-8 years, he was up to 18 years old and like that because they needed him to be that old.
But was it in human years or Klingon years?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we can justify it by saying, Klingons come from a planet where everything is a predator, so if you stay a youngling for long, you're a snack. So they have to evolve to maturity quickly. But at the same time, it's because they can't write well for... Well, they can't write anything for toddlers, apparently. I mean, because I guess, so what did the toddler do today? Well, it stumbled around a bit and made gurgling noises. That was my day.
And that's probably why...
So
go ahead.
They have a couple of, look at the cute baby episodes, and then 6 months later, yeah, she's in first grade now. Give her some Trekkie-type homework so she feels like she's part of the crew. They just...
Although, strangely, they didn't do that with... Molly O'Brien.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one odd one. They didn't. But at the same time, nobody really likes the O'Briens except for Miles.
Oh.
I do.
I thought they were cute.
I liked Molly more than I liked Mrs. O'Brien.
Yeah, Keiko was.
Keiko was hit or miss. There were times when they did a great story with her, and there were times when they just made her a putz.
Yeah, the problem with Keiko was, this is a true story. She suffered a flat tire, and they said, "Look, there's the garage. Get the car over there." And the driver said, "Push," and she just went, "I am pushing."
Oh my goodness!
We should have had him on here a long time ago because we keep running out of jokes to open the show with.
Yeah. I was gonna say
that was one of my favorite DS9 character moments. Just that little scene where O'Brien announces to everyone, Keiko's having a baby, and Worf looks panicked. Here now. Right now? What do I do? Not again! No!
I know you can see the sort of. I know it was played for funny, but it was like the far off stare of seeing some brutal horror in war, and Worf's like, "I am a Klingon warrior. I have defeated Jem'Hadar and my fellow Klingons in combat. I'm going home to Earth."
Yeah, I'm going to be somewhere else. I can't be a midwife. That's too scary.
I was going to bring up, Jake Sisko. He's like the only, I guess, child character that, has the most episodes, right? And because he was all the way through Deep Space Nine, but they chose to make Jake like 11 years older or so. So he was a little bit older because it was probably easier to film with him.
Yeah, well, it's like they started with Wesley, and nobody liked Wesley. They weren't good at writing Wesley.
Shut up, Wesley.
Yeah.
Everybody hates Wesley.
Yeah.
Even the Borg wouldn't assimilate him.
Probably not.
Well, we are the Borg. Resistance is futile, but he can stay. We don't want him.
Yeah. The Traveler probably got tired of him. That's why we see him in that like one offhand like clip in Nemesis, in the movie where we see him at their wedding, and he's somehow like a lieutenant or something in Starfleet. How did he do that? Yeah. Well, he probably annoyed the Traveler too much, and the Traveler probably said, "Shut up, Wesley," and then made him leave.
Yeah, so, that's one of those. I mean, I like Will Wheaton as an actor now, but they didn't write Wesley very well. They did much better writing Jake. Yeah. They did fantastically writing Nog. Nog is probably, of all the children characters, his character development arc was actually better than most.
Yeah.
The only problem I ever had with Nog was the Valiant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's a commissioned officer. All right, he's an ensign, but he's an officer. The minute he stepped foot, he should have assumed command.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that the guy in charge was the captain. He's only a cadet.
Right.
Nog's a commissioned officer. And my father is ex-Royal Navy, so and an officer himself, or rather used to be. And he was like, just take the ship and go.
Yeah, that was kind of annoying that Nog kind of rolled over and just took orders from a cadet. Oh well.
Yeah, but he made up for it with the Nog wedding dance.
Yeah.
So let's move on. So you really enjoy writing for Naomi, but who would be your favorite character to write for, or of the characters you've written for? Because you wrote for Saavik.
Oh yes, I wrote a little script story for Saavik. Mm-hmm. Basically, she gets bullied about her parents and runs off into a cave and gets realization that just because she doesn't have a family doesn't mean she doesn't have a family. And then there's a guest appearance by Kang.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, he's like, and if any of you dishonorable bullies bully this child anymore, I'm going to have you cleaning out my plasma conduits.
So is she your favorite to write for?
No, my favorite. Current or past?
How about past?
Past, it would have been Naomi Wildman.
Mm-hmm. How about...
Because...
No. Okay, sorry. Keep going.
Yeah, I was going to say, basically Naomi Wildman previously, because, you didn't see her all the time, so you could write stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, that's plausible, and it worked. But at the moment, it has to be Lieutenant J. Because we just literally do not know anything about her.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, the only thing we know about her is that sometime between All Good Things and Generations, she must have done something really bad because she gets a demotion. If you look, she starts off as an ensign, ends up as a lieutenant. But if you look at the insignia she wears on her uniform on the D's helm, she's wearing a single pip of an ensign. And the actress herself, Tracy Lee Kirker, she basically was like, you know what? I never even thought about it like that. So basically, she's given me permission, essentially, for me to write something bad about her character in order to explain why she's got a demotion.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Covert mission gone wrong. Starfleet needed a scapegoat. Captain Picard thought it was unfair, so kept her on the Enterprise, but he couldn't change the demotion.
That's actually are you psychic? That's basically what I had.
I've been called psych something or other a time or two, but
psychotic.
Yeah.
The one film I would have loved to have seen her in was Insurrection, because you just know that she would have been with Picard and the others on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, we know she's in First Contact. We know she survived the Borg thing because you see her in... No, you do see her in Insurrection, sorry. You don't see her in Nemesis.
Yeah, keep going, guys. I got to be right back in just a sec.
Yeah, I'm looking at Wikipedia here, or I'm sorry, Memory Alpha, and the last thing they have for her is Insurrection. So we don't see her in Nemesis.
Yeah, so I'm like, well, we don't even see her insignia on the collar. So my theory is that she was part of the crew up to the end of Insurrection, and then she gets her own ship.
Ooh.
And her ship was the one that turns the Enterprise E back to Space Star.
Mm-hmm. In Nemesis.
Well, in between Data blowing himself up to save the Enterprise, and yeah.
That'd be cool. Is it, so I haven't read it yet, but is that in your fanfic of her?
It will be.
Okay.
What I've done with her, this one is basically write notes and sort of have a timeline of what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But because she's such a cool character, I've set her first appearance in my fan fiction in season 2, not season 4 where she first appears.
Okay. Oh, that's cool.
Basically, because I thought, one, she's too good a character to miss in some of the really good season 2 episodes. Yeah, basically, so far she's helped identify the loss of the Horatio, and also sort of punched out Admiral Quinn. Admiral Quinn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And she goes in instead of Crusher, basically to because you don't know what the situation is, and Quinn and her get into a fist fight, and she gets like almost strangled, and Ross like, Ensign, you better go to sickbay, and she goes, no sir, pulls out a phaser, let's go.
So can you tell us about any of your other Star Trek fanfics that are in the works that you haven't mentioned yet? I've
got one where basically it's like not Picard, Janeway, the night after she gets back to Earth, basically she does an inspection of Voyager before handing it over to Starfleet, basically to see why the ship is still in one piece. At which point she steps foot onto the starbase, gets arrested by Starfleet security, and is sent for court-martial. Because, my God, Janeway in canon made far more violations of the Prime Directive than Kirk did.
So,
she aided and abetted a known Starfleet enemy. She gave comfort to the enemy. She broke the Prime Directive in interfering with other people's lives. You know, she's as bad as Captain Jonathan, I'm a princess, please love me, Archer.
So will it be about how she kind of gets out of that situation and then eventually becomes Admiral?
Yeah. But she will get reprimanded. Especially for several episodes where she basically aids the Borg. That's the big one. And also willingly endangers her ship by not getting her crew back.
When do you think you'll have that out? Like the first chapter?
Oh, a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. The biggest problem I always had with Voyager was they said, we can go home, but we'll have to put it on a timer. And I'm like, well, hang on. Why don't you set the caretaker's array to take you through and just leave a couple of torpedoes behind as on a timer? Job done.
Yeah, that was always one of those things. It's like any other crew, that would have been a two-parter, and they're home. I mean,
yeah.
All right, the first series would have been about 90 minutes long, and that was it.
Yeah. But I always try to justify that to myself by saying that this wasn't the best of Starfleet. It was a mediocre ship. It was sort of the blue-collar Starfleet. It was showing instead of the best and brightest, this was the average people, including one guy who's basically a convict on work release.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be a tiny little mission for an obscure ship in an obscure part of space, and then things just kind of spiraled into the grand adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, another thing about Janeway, before we go on to other stuff, she's also technically guilty of theft. Because if you watch the first episode, Caretaker, when they're heading towards DS9, Paris and... Oh, how do you pronounce the name? Is it Stadi?
Yeah, I can't... I know who you're talking about.
They actually technically seem to have stolen one of the Enterprise D's shuttle pods. Because there's like a brief moment where it turns past the camera and it says 1701-D right on the side.
Oh.
And I'm like, hang on, don't you think Picard wants that back?
Okay, I'm going to see if I can find this memory alpha. Caretaker Part 1.
Well, we got it as one giant thing because, you see, in England, the BBC shared practically everything as one part.
Oh, yeah, Memory Alpha has it all as one. That's okay. I'm going to see if it's under, like, trivia facts or something here. Let's see. I'll just do Enterprise.
Yeah, I was never honestly too worried about Janeway getting in trouble when she got back after the way they did that finale, because she basically brought with her a whole bunch of advanced technology that would give the Federation a technical superiority over other empires. And the Federation, for all of its stated nobility and lofty goals, they're very selfish, greedy. I don't know. It's like Kirk committed felonies bordering on war crimes, and they said, well, don't do it again. Here's a ship. Because he saved the Earth. So, you do one good thing, and they're going to ignore all the bad things you do because, you did good by them, which is very, very shady. So she comes back with that ablative armor generator, the 27th century hologram technology. They're going to be like, oh, you're in so much trouble. We have you listed as AWOL. That's desertion. You're going to, oh, wait, what's this? You brought me a present? Oh, thank you, Admiral Janeway.
I like to think that Janeway might have done something wrong, but she was such a good captain that they couldn't officially say it. So Admiral Nechayev just basically gave a voyage and said, yeah, go find these nasty bad people in the Badlands and good luck.
So I just looked up on Memory Alpha. It does say the shuttle that takes Tom Paris to Deep Space Nine changes its registry number. It initially reads 71325, then changes to 1701D, and then finally to 74656.
Yeah.
Huh.
So essentially, Janeway stole one of Picard's shuttles.
And then they just casually changed the registry.
It'd be like that scene in... have you ever seen MASH, the film?
No.
Yes.
Oh, there's a scene... I think
Did he steal that Jeep? Oh, no, sir. That's the Jeep he came in.
No, I was going to say the thing at the beginning where they go, Sir, what do we do about the Jeep? And he goes, just put different plates on. Nobody will notice.
Yeah. I remember that, because that's how it ended, too. He drives off, and it's like, wait, did he just steal that Jeep?
Yeah.
All right,
I like to think of it as sort of Grand Theft Starship.
That's probably what got Paris in trouble.
Amongst other things.
Amongst other things.
So we have to do a couple things here. I forgot to do the trivia question, but before that, let's have Bill do his lightning round.
Okay. All right. All right. Who do you think does better in a leadership role once they grew up, Wildman or Alexander?
Wildman.
No love for Alexander at all?
No.
He was annoying the entire time until he stepped up on that bird of prey, and then he was like, okay, I finally like Alexander.
Alexander Rosenko, the Wesley Crusher of the Imperial Klingon Defense Force.
Yep.
Yeah, but Wesley's like a semi-deified being now.
Yeah.
I mean, I expect great things from Alexander. That's just me.
Next question.
Next question. Of all the famous, I mean, I'm sure as someone who writes fanfics, you've read fanfics. Whose fanfic did you enjoy the most?
I don't know, actually. Probably not a Star Trek one, though. No, I can't think of anything, really.
They're all that bad, or they're all that good?
They're all that good.
Okay, that's just. All right, now you've done Harry Potter, you've done Star Wars. What's the one thing you really want to do but haven't quite done yet?
The Last Starfighter.
Really?
Yeah, I when I was a kid, I saw that film when I was about 5 or 6. I was sick with measles and that, and I was sat at home in my pajamas watching The Last Starfighter, and I'm like, I want that ship. Where can I buy one?
So if you wrote it, would it be a prequel or a sequel?
Sequel.
All right, next lightning round question. Doctor Who or Harry Potter, since you're a native of the Enchanted Isle, land of the sun never going down?
Doctor Who.
Okay.
Are you excited for the new season?
Yes, for 2 reasons. One, the new Doctor, who's a woman, and if you don't mind me saying so, about jolly well time.
Mm-hmm.
Not only is she from the same county as me, so she's a good Yorkshire lass, as we would say up here. The new series also starts on my birthday, so woohoo!
Well, happy early birthday, October 7th, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I can't believe that the BBC have given me this big a present.
They must have really liked your fanfic.
Yeah.
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 All right, Bill.
Oh yeah, that's one. I do Doctor Who fan fiction as well.
Oh.
I think that's pretty much a requirement for British citizenship, though.
Yeah, basically.
Bill, do you have another lightning round question?
I think that's it.
All right, so I have a trivia question. What is the name of Naomi Wildman's daughter as seen in an alternate future? Is it A, Samantha, B, Scarlet, C, Sabrina, or D, Moral?
Sabrina?
How about you, Bill?
Moral.
So, it is Sabrina.
Yes!
Yeah.
I knew that because she grows up to be a teenage witch. Oh, no,
There
sorry,
you go.
wrong.
So Samantha is her mom. Scarlet is the name of one of the 2 young actresses to play Naomi Wildman. I think the first one, Sabrina.
One of 3. Don't forget the baby.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean of the main, like the main one. Yeah.
The main one.
And then Moral is actually Tom and Milana's
Harris's
baby.
kid, yeah. Dang it, as soon as you're listing through it, it's like, because I knew I'd heard that name Moral, but I fell for your trap. Who was it? Oh, yeah, that was Tom Paris's little girl.
But
You've been caught in subspace, Eddie.
Both are from the last episode of Voyager Endgame. We see Sabrina and Moral. I believe I got that right. Doesn't matter. Anyway, that's the trivia. Well done. And if there's, do we have anything else to talk about, or should we wrap it up?
No, but I do like his idea for a kid's name. If I have a kid, he's going to be named Subspace Eddie.
There we go.
Well, we'll be fancy with it. Subspace Edward.
Hello, my name's Subspace Eddie, and I'm a truck driver.
Well, so are we done?
Actually, that would make a great crossover film, wouldn't it? Subspace Eddie and the Smirky. I mean, I know it would never happen because he's just sadly passed away. But imagine if we'd got like Smirky and the Bandit just set in the Star Trek universe.
That would make write it up, man. He's
Buford T. Justice in the Type 4 armored Borg cube with Wesley Crusher playing his son.
Oh my goodness!
And the Bandit, just in like the Delta Flyer.
Yeah, he's in a fast ship helping to distract the authorities while a cargo convoy moves from Ferenginar to Bolia with.
I've just got it in my head now. Buford T. Justice in a Borg cube, the armored Borg cube that they self-destructed. The Bandit in the Delta Flyer, and the Snowman in a DY 500.
Yes. Oh yeah. Starbound and down, loaded up and trucking. We
I'm
don't do
headed
what they
off
say
to
can't be done.
I've got a long way to go, even at Warp 9. I'm eastbound, just warping on right now.
Well, thank you, Robert, for talking to us about your fan fiction. We really appreciate it.
So there's several canines in the background. It would appear.
Yeah, those are Bill's.
That's my entourage.
Did you steal Worf's tag again? I've heard these stories.
So, Bill, how about you take us away?
All right. Thank you very much, kids. That's all the time we have for today. Yes, thank you, too. Yes, thank you. You're very good. They're saying, hey, it's time for the show to wrap up. Wrap it up. Those are our producers, folks. They're very demanding. Thank you very much. Like and follow us on Facebook. Check us out in the iTunes Store, on YouTube, and Google Play. That's still all where we are, right?
Yes, indeed.
Alrighty, we're going to be adding to a few new things as soon as they invent a new kind of internet something or other. We'll be there because we're always on the final frontier. And so, just special thanks to our guest. I want to really thank you so much. Look forward to reading the rest of your stories, Robert.
No problem. Pleasure to be on.
Thank you, Adam, once again for putting this all together.
Oh, of course. It's my pleasure.
And I just want to say, MIC, see you real soon.